What's going on, guys? It's BouseFeenux, and welcome to my advanced guide on the Centurion. So for those of you just tuning in, this is more or less the follow-up to my beginner's guide video on Centurion, and if you haven't checked that out yet, I highly recommend you do, because a lot of the stuff we'll talk about in this video won't make a lot of sense to you. You can check that out by clicking the card in the top right-hand corner of this video. So hopefully, you've got the moveset for this character down, which shouldn't be hard, because he doesn't have a whole lot you need to keep track of. With that aside, I did want to cover three main things that are helpful to know when playing any character, and this is something you should ask yourself every time you pick up someone new in this game. First, what can we do to start a fight? What are your openers? Well, for Centurion, I'd argue that he's got two different openers, and unfortunately, neither of them are really safe. You just kind of have to start each fight gauging your opponent and seeing what you can get away with. The first opener is the kick. This is probably your safest option because even if it doesn't connect and your opponent dodges it, you can still follow up with a heavy attack, which, if they try to guard break you, will always connect because they'll be stuck in a failed guard break animation. Your next option is the charged heavy unblockable, and there's two ways to get to this. You can whiff two lights and go into a charged heavy unblockable, or you can whiff a single heavy and go into it. Now, with Centurion's short attack range, this isn't too hard to do. Now, for an extra layer of mind games, what I like to do is get this combo started, then before I do the charged heavy, I'll do the guard break cancel. So the input would be light, hold heavy attack, then press the guard break button, or heavy, then hold the heavy attack, and then press the guard break button. Sometimes they'll fall for this, sometimes they won't, it just kind of depends on the opponent. As for unsafe things to do, I really don't recommend opening with the jump attack. By now, players are catching on to the timing of this, and it almost always gets parried, or worse yet, if they dodge it, they can follow up with a guard break that you can't counter. Also, I haven't had a lot of success opening with light attacks. I feel like Centurion's lights are really slow and pretty easy to parry or block, so I don't recommend those either. Also, at least with a heavy attack, if it gets blocked, you can still continue a chain unless you're fighting something like a Conqueror with superior block. Anyway, for what it's worth, those are pretty much your opener options that I've found to be effective so far. Now, with that in mind, let's move on to our second question. What can you do after a parry? Well, you've got three options. First, you can get a guard break and triple light attack to drain a bunch of stamina. Second, you can get a guard break and an uncharged heavy. Third, you can get a guard break and perform a throw, then follow up with a kick, and if the opponent is near a ledge, they'll be knocked off. Or fourth, which is my favorite option, you can execute a parry counter. I feel like in most situations, the parry counter is the best option because it allows you to flow into a string of mix-ups to really put pressure on your opponent. It drains a ton of stamina, allows for a heavy attack, and it even works on characters with long range that you wouldn't be able to guard break after parrying, like Nobushi, Lawbringer, and Kensei. I also want to note here that after a light parry on most characters, you can fully charge an unblockable heavy, which gives you a free pin, which then allows for a free fully charged jab, which knocks the enemy down and gives you a free pounce. So, if you get a light parry, that's a ton of punishment you can dole out. So now let's answer our third question. What are your mix-up options? For Centurion, a lot of his mix-up potential comes from his heavy attacks. I pretty much don't ever use light attacks unless I get a quick jab in because the light attack is free if the jab connects. That being said, though, I'm the type of person that feels like a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I have a clip here to demonstrate some of the mix-ups I use. With the first clip, the guy goes for an overhead jump. I parry it, get a kick, he blocks the heavy, I get a punch, two lights, which doesn't always happen, then I feint the unblockable, get a guard break, heavy attack, and finally follow up with the unblockable chain finisher. It's pretty much the same story with his friend here. So as you can see, it's all about getting creative with the charged heavy attacks, and sometimes you let them go, and sometimes you don't. What you do kind of just depends on the situation that you're in. The last thing I want to show you guys is the wall stun combo. If you get a punch or a throw and a wall splat someone, you can follow up with a free heavy, then another punch which wall splats them again and again and again. Now, some characters can dash out of this, which is why it's a good idea to feint the heavy, get a guard break, and throw them back into the wall, but if you can keep this up, you can pretty much destroy people, and there isn't really a whole lot they can do. Now, I know Centurion looks pretty OP in a lot of this footage, but most of the stuff he can do to you is counterable and even reactable. Punches can be dodged and people can follow up with a guard break on you, lights and heavies can be parried, etc. And like I said before though, it's pretty much all about testing to see what you can get away with and going from there. But that's all I can think of to show you. If you need more than this, my videos from here on out will probably be featuring a lot of Centurion gameplay, and of course, as time goes on, and the character is changed here and there by the devs, new play styles will emerge, and I'll be sure to cover them to let you guys know of any new tactics. But before we wrap this up, let's take a quick look at my gear setup. For the armor pieces, I've taken just enough defense to be in the positive, because with defense penetration as it works now, this will negate all but the highest defense builds, and even then you'll only have a little defense left over. So in my opinion, defense just isn't worth building for right now. It's best to just make sure it's in the positive, because defense pen can only drop it to 0. It can't go below that, which means it can't go negative. Additionally, I've taken pretty much all the stamina stats: exhaustion recovery, stamina cost reduction, and stamina regen. These are all super helpful for Centurion because they allow you to keep attacking. For the weapons, I've got as much attack as I can get: high defense pen and revenge mode attack. Execution health regen would be nice to have, but I also want revive speed, and to get all three I'd have to find a piece with balanced stats, which I haven't found yet, obviously. The same goes for my hilt, which I'm not super excited about either at the moment because it has negative revenge gain. I'm looking for a balanced version of that one as well, and once I get it, I'll probably be using that. So to sum it all up, take enough defense to not be negative, get all the stamina bonuses you can, get your attack as high as possible, get the revenge gain and revenge attack stats if you can, and get defense pen. With those stats, you should be good to go. But that is about all the advice I have for you guys. Just remember that this isn't an end-all be-all guide. There are people out there that play this game way better than I do, but the strategies and gear stats I've outlined here should be more than enough to make you better than the average player. And with that being said, if I've missed anything, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. I'm always open to constructive feedback. But if you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like down below and get subscribed for more content like this if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to join the Discord I have set up for you guys. I'm almost always around to talk with people and answer questions. But until next time, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.